As we come to the conclusion of occupational ambiguity and tales of the ghost assistant principal, Miss L seeks to challenge the fourth and fifth bullets of Dale Kelly's 8918 email. Part 3, Exit Ambiguity. Bullet point 4 reads, on 5/11/18, you were determined to have abandoned your post as an AP at 18K135. DOE indicates that correspondence was sent from HR, DOE Legal, as well as the principal of 18K135, indicating that failure to return to your post as an AP would constitute job abandonment and result in your termination. Ms. L sought to challenge this statement by presenting the actual communications held between HR, DOE Legal, and the school principal via the following. 6/6/18, Principal/C30 Coordinator Correspondence. On 6/6/18, Ms. L received the following letter from the principal of K135. On 6/7/18, after identifying all of the evidence of wrongdoing in the payroll system, Ms. L asked Bob Reach to file a grievance on her behalf. CSA correspondence. On 6/14/18, Ms. L had a meeting at 40 Rector Street, CSA headquarters, with Bob Reach and Jermaine Garden. The conversation was a 45-minute ping-pong between Bob Reach questioning why Ms. L was not reporting to work at K135 and Ms. L challenging the idea of work by requesting copies of her offer letter, which should have been on file at Supervisory Support Services, or any other tangible evidence besides word of mouth that she was an official employee, none of which the CSA brass members could provide. Bob Reach expressed that he would go to K135 to investigate Ms. L's claims. Principal/C30 Coordinator Correspondence. On 6/21/18, Ms. L received another letter from the school principal, this time accusing her of job abandonment and banning her from the school building. CSA correspondence. On 6/25/18, Ms. L did not receive any communications from DOE brass about the results of Bob Reach's investigation, so she sent CSA brass an email, to which Bob Reach responded with the following. And when Ms. L asked how long the grievance would take, she was told, however, on 6/28/18, a grievance was filed for a Step 3 grievance hearing by the CSA. And on 7/3/18, Ms. L received the following from Labor Relations, aka DOE Legal. According to Ms. L, she didn't understand the grievance process, but she knew that the numbers 1 and 2 came before 3. So she sent an email to the DOE brass members on her grievance hearing to say, on 7/6/18, Ms. L entered a secure area with Jermaine Garden and Marshall Koshensky at Labor Relations headquarters, and the school principal was present by phone. The principal of K135 spoke first, stating that she gave Ms. L an offer letter and that Ms. L's issues with other employees were the reason why she abandoned her position. According to Ms. L, when it was her turn to speak, she was grilled by Marcel Koshensky about her work history, specifically her August 2017 resignation. When Ms. L attempted to speak about her violated C30 process, she was repeatedly told by Marcel Koshensky and Jermaine Garden to speak about payment only because the time to grieve the selection process had passed by. When Ms. L tried to explain that she was not grieving the selection process but the hiring process, she was dismissed yet again, with Jermaine Garden offering no professional support besides saying, "We're not addressing the C30, but she must be paid for her labor." 7/23/18 DOE Legal/CSA Correspondence. On 7/23/18, Ms. L received correspondence about her grievance hearing via the following. While Dale Kelly claimed that correspondence from DOE Legal discussed job abandonment, the second communication received from DOE Legal was a stipulation of settlement for wages Ms. L was owed for her labor. Ms. L was asked to sign a document stating that she did not or would not hold the DOE or CSA accountable for any wrongdoing related to her hiring. On 7/25/18, Ms. L sent an email to Jermaine Garden questioning the purpose of the stipulation of settlement, which she absolutely refused to sign. But Jermaine Garden never responded to her email. Ms. L's next communication with CSA Brass was her introduction to Dale Kelly on 8/7/18. In September of 2018, Ms. L received the final correspondence from Labor Relations via this grievance decision. According to the grievance decision, the principal stated that Ms. L resigned on May 7, 2018. Please note the onboarding ambiguity video showed Ms. L was inactive in the system on 5/7 and 5/8, and the payroll ambiguity video showed Ms. L was placed on payroll as of 5/11. Yet, this decision from Labor Relations says that Ms. L resigned as of 5/7/18. On another note, the Richard Carranza signature that you see at the bottom was not signed by the then Chancellor, but by the DOE lawyer whose initials are next to the Chancellor's name. Word has it that Chancellors never see these grievance decisions. So I asked Ms. L, why now? Why tell your story now? According to Ms. L, she believes fear served as the driving force behind the decisions made by herself and the DOE brass during this time period. However, her primary reason for speaking up now involves the following legal document. If an employer called the New York City Department of Education to verify Ms. L's employment, they would see this. Just like the grievance decision is a legal document, so is an employment verification form. When Ms. L contacted the DOE in the summer of 2022 to have any mention of being an assistant principal removed from her employment verification form because it was fraudulent, she was told by an employee at Supervisory Support Services, the department ran by Jill Goldberg, that it was an egregious lie to state that she wasn't officially employed as an AP. To show why it is an egregious lie to say that Ms. L was officially hired as an AP, in addition to the onboarding ambiguity video showing that she wasn't on staff, and the payroll ambiguity video showing that she wasn't on payroll until 5/11, Ms. L would like to introduce to you New York City Department of Education Chancellor's Regulation C-105. Let's look into the expectations of Chancellor's Regulation C-105. Chancellor's Regulation C-105 reads as follows. General. No one may be licensed, certified, employed by, or work in the New York City public school system without background investigation and clearance from either OPI or the Chief Executive of DHR. Since Ms. L has presented the communications sent by the school principal, CSA, and DOE Legal, it is only right that she presents the most valuable piece of information she received from Human Resources that solidifies her claim that she was not hired by the New York City Department of Education as an assistant principal. Communications from the Office of Personnel Investigations. According to this email sent from the Office of Personnel Investigations, Ms. L's background check was not complete by 4/25/18, She did not receive clearance from OPI until 5/4/18. Please note that 5/4/18 is also the date that Ms. L completed her I-9 verification form. According to Ms. L, imagine living with the reality of having background checks state that you resigned without notice from an assistant principal's position that you were never hired for. A position that has 3 start dates, 4/25/18, 5/4/18, and 6/1/18, 2 resignation dates, 5/7/18 and 6/21/18, and that paid her under a vendor title because she never received an offer letter as stated by policy, thus never receiving a welcome email or credentials under the assistant principal title, nor was she on staff or on payroll during the period the DOE claimed she was hired as an assistant principal. Ms. L describes the entire process as continuous social, emotional, and psychological turmoil, especially when no one wanted to address the situation because it was a union position. Ms. L wrote the Comptroller's office, but no one responded. Ms. L wrote the Chancellor's office, who responded a year later and directed Ms. L back to the CSA, the same union whose investigation refused to perform in good faith and exercised due diligence throughout the investigative process. Late September, Ms. L hired a lawyer who sent the DOE a letter demanding she is paid for the time that she worked as an assistant principal. Ms. L states that her anxiety did not allow her to go forward with the lawsuit, knowing that the case would be dragged out for years, burning a hole not just in her pockets but her peace of mind, which was already destroyed due to this entire debacle. On November 30th, 2018, Ms. L received correspondence from Jermaine Garden that the DOE paid her for her 2-week stint as a ghost assistant principal. Ms. L did not receive the check, but when she looked in the payroll system, she saw a check for less than she was making as a classroom teacher. Ms. L was not paid at an assistant principal rate as stated by Jill Goldberg and the grievance decision because she was not officially hired as an assistant principal. Ms. L sent another email to Jermaine Garden and Dale Kelly about her pay rate, questioning their ethics and why she was being treated like a slave. Ms. L was a student in the DOE from K-12 and spent her entire career working for a department that ultimately retaliated against her for standing against being treated like a slave. In March 2019, Ms. L noticed another check in the payroll system. So along with 3 start dates, 2 exit dates, 2 jobs, it took the DOE 10 months and 2 paychecks to still not pay Ms. L what she was owed for serving 2 weeks as a ghost assistant principal, a process union brass claimed as valid and normal steps. At this point, Ms. L remained despondent and was tired of fighting. Ms. L completely succumbed to the fact that she would serve as the scapegoat for intentional decision-making and behaviors that disregarded the social, emotional, and physical safety and well-being of others in school and community contexts.